Hello, everybody. You will see Sylvia and I almost bursting out laughing when we start these videos. That's because we have a chat before we have the recording button clicked. And why not? Why not have a bit of fun and a bit of joy with what we're doing? Because we live in a world where so many people are so frustrated, aren't they?
They are.
It
Yeah.
expresses itself as either anger, wholesale negativity, violence.
Mm.
We're blaming these people and those people. We have a go at our politicians. They have a go back at us, and we look at the wars here, there, and everywhere. Road rage, you name it. There's anger, there's frustration everywhere. And you and I have had this bouncing back and forth on anger because we often get asked to do anger management, and I've become famous for saying I don't do anger management. I look at why the anger is there, then we remove those reasons, and the anger disappears. We don't have to manage the anger. We Anger is not disallowed.
Mm.
Of course you're allowed to be angry,
Mm.
but if you're angry all the time, something else is going on. And I think it's the same thing with what you and I have probably identified now as being an underlying level, quite high one actually, of general frustration.
Mm. And quite often, picking up on the anger piece, quite often I find in my work, and also myself sometimes, is one point, yes, anger is a human emotion like so many other human emotions. So yes, we can all get angry. Years ago, oh no, to get angry is a very negative thing. You shouldn't, dangerous words, get angry. But it is an emotion like all the others. But what I found that quite often what sits behind anger, quite often, not every time, is a frustration. Um, and I know many people know, sort of trained as an NLP coach, and in one of the NLP principles, that everything or mostly has a positive intention. Now, anger, motivating, raise your awareness to what's, to your point, what's triggering your anger, what causes your anger, so you can address that. But I've often struggled with what the positive intention of frustration is. Now, it could be a motivator as well. It could also be an energizer to get things done. But at the same time, it's a very debilitating emotion, feeling to have sitting there. And I think it's something that perhaps needs more attention, needs more awareness, because I don't hear many people talking about frustration management. And this is why we were having a bit of a giggle before we started, because we thought we perhaps we'll branch out into frustration management. But I think it'd be interesting to hear other people's view on frustration. So that was my thoughts around frustration. It sits underneath so many things, but we don't seem to tap into that.
And I think we don't tap into it because we've learned certain words are the words that we just use, like anxiety, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is on a continuum from apprehensive, worried, past anxiety, going further out on the extreme to panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have anger. We know the word anger, but what comes before? What comes after? And before that is irritation,
Yep.
and also frustration. But frustration can express itself in a way that is perceived as being anger.
Yep.
And you talked about what's a good thing about frustration, what can it drive, what's the energy that it brings about, and what does a person do with it. I also think frustration is a defense mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
we use our expression of frustration as a way of telling everybody else now enough is enough and don't come closer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of signal that next level up is anger, or then it could be, off the scale rage, if you're that way inclined.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on its way to anger, but it's this simmering thing that is just there. And I think we live in a world where we value our convenience a lot. So when we're inconvenienced somehow, that is when we express frustration.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
my delivery didn't turn, my car broke
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Um, and then the response to those events, I think very often um, can get out of proportion
Mm.
because there's so many other events going on that build and build and build to this level of pressure that we live with every day in our lives.
Mhm.
So if your car breaks down, it's not really the car breaking down that's a problem. It is that you can't get to work, you can't drop the
Yeah.
kids off at school, then you're shopping in the lunch break or whatever. Everything just falls apart because the car has broken down.
Mm.
And that is where the frustration comes in. And then the poor guy from road recovery gets it in the neck because all of a sudden it's his fault that your car broke down and he's even there to try and help you.
Mm.
So I think it's could it be the safety valve on the pressure cooker
I think it could be.
letting off?
Yeah. I think it could be the safety valve. All these frustrations build, can't get an appointment with a doctor, the car's broken down, a delivery didn't turn up. So I've now got to check that. Oh, I've got to phone back with that. And this sense of frustration that we've spoken about time, time is finite. We can't keep creating more time. So, oh, that's going to eat into the time that I can do this. So the frustrations build. And then, as you say, the pressure cooker can sometimes blow. Now, the question is that an appropriate behaviour for the pressure cooker to blow, and how we then as individuals take out our frustrations on other people. We can lambast someone, the RAC guys turned up to help me, or you or whoever it is, and then they get blasted because of the frustrations of the person when they're actually there to help, as the example you just used. Or is it a way of managing that? How do we manage that frustration so it doesn't blow and then doesn't, as you say, then turn into full scale anger, where it could be quite impactful on ourselves and other people? And I suppose the question is how do we manage that frustration? Or is it good to let the pressure cooker blow from time to time to ease off the pressure so we can blow and then start again? But I suppose the difference is a bit similar with anger, is once it's blown, is it blown completely, or is there something underlying still sitting there that's left unaddressed that's going to build up again? So it's an interesting view on frustration, how we manage it, where it comes from, and also how can we alleviate it in this modern society when so many things don't seem to go right first time, and we waste, in my opinion, so much time doing things twice, which is one of my major causes of frustration. So yeah, this is how I manage myself.
It's also one of the cornerstones of what I do with organizations is to look at how we do things so that how we do work doesn't get in the way of doing work because it's so frustrating.
Yes.
And if we're irritated all the time, we get frustrated, we get annoyed, we get all
Yeah.
sorts of things. And
Yeah.
the thing about emotions is that we were once taught by textbooks and popular psychology books that we have positive emotions and negative emotions. That really should have been a thing of the past by now. So look at any emotion and ask yourself, is this emotion I'm feeling now, is this my friend or my enemy?
Exactly.
Is it doing me any good?
Mm-hmm.
How do I manage, how do I express this emotion? Because we're not in control of which emotions come up, they just do.
Mm-hmm.
It's called biology, and how they present themselves, how strong they are, and how long they last is really also to do with how we feel at the time anyway. But it is up to us to consciously decide whether the outburst of frustration is actually appropriate in this context or not,
Yeah.
and whether I should have toned it down a little bit. So we are in control of emotions once they're there,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not in control of which ones are popping up. They just do.
Mm-hmm.
So if we already have an awful lot on our plate to worry about and think about, maybe that is where we economize a little bit and think, right, okay, let's just let it go,
mm,
and you give somebody an earful that who really didn't deserve it, but it was just your way of letting go,
mm.
releasing some tension.
And I think there, the emotions that we are feeling can affect our behaviours. And of course, then people's perception of that behaviour can change all sorts of different ways of how we interact with each other. For example, if someone is particularly frustrated and irritable and then takes it out on someone else, that other person could perceive that as being bullied, for example, or then sort of start spreading, oh, you know, that person, oh, we don't want to work with them because, but it may be because that person's got a lot of frustrations there, and that then, as I say, affects our behaviours. And it's how we then manage that. And to your point, you know, I believe that everything has a positive and negative side. You know, anger for many people can be negative, but it can also be a positive. It can be a motivator. It can all those things. There's the balance of it. And I think picking up on your point there, you know, if we are feeling frustrated, and of course people will experience frustration in different ways. Someone's frustration might be someone's irritable. We don't know because we're not inside each other's bodies. But my point is, if we then recognize that's how we're feeling, okay, then what's the trigger? What can we do about it? Can we use it? What do we do differently? So we manage so it doesn't affect those behaviors that could have a negative impact on other people and ourselves.
Sounds simple and straightforward, doesn't it? But it's so frustratingly complicated.
Exactly.
So I hope I hope that you who have stayed the course and listened to this have not become too frustrated, maybe learned a little bit. And we would really love to hear what sets your frustration off. What do you think? Have we hit the head on the nail here, or are we off on a tangent that we shouldn't have been exploring anyway? So let us know what you think, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.
Let us know what you think about frustration management. How do you manage yours? But then again, you might not get frustrated, and that would be even better.
Give us a shout. See you later.
See you
Take care.
later. Bye bye.